Hiya Hinsters, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. I hope you're well on this Saturn day and that you're enjoying your Gemini season. This is going to be a really quick one because Hinny's a dashing today, so quite a quick one. And this transit itself is going to be fairly quick. Mercury is going to be swimming through Gemini between June 11th to June 27th, so within the same month. They're already gone into Cancer, so pretty fast transit. Of course, no retrograde either here. So yeah, this is going to be June 11th, and we will have Mercury in just a little while after it has entered Gemini. We will have it making a sextile with the moon in Aries, and I'm really loving this. I'm getting this psychic download, this message of being so in tune, being so aligned in some sense for many people. And also we have Mercury sextile Venus in Leo. So check out my videos on the big Leonite transits that are coming up way before Leo season proper. Very important, I think, astrologically. And also Mercury is what I call Rustin, which means Mercury is in the sign that it rules. And if you're a Gemini rising, for example, it is also roosting in the house that it rules. So this is excellent. And for Gemini risings especially, this is even more excellent because Mercury has its joy in the first house. So I'm very excited for you Gemini risings who are jet in off into the literal skies or the stars and the heavens, and you're just making those moves, and I love it for you Gemini rising. But also no ambivalence. Like, we don't want any ambivalence, however you want to pronounce it. We don't want any of that anymore with Mercury in Gemini. It is very like, just say it, just say how you feel. And this is, such a light season, as we know, Gemini season, and there's a lot of masculine energy now bubbling up. Check out my videos. Check out also my Hawaii Hermes playlist, where I've talked much more about Hermes or Mercury as it has gone through the signs and the retrogrades over the past couple of years, actually. And also I have a couple topical videos on Hermes, like what is Mercury retrograde and all that jazz. But also, by the way, Mercury, when it enters Gemini, yes, of course, because it's still a Gemini season, then the sun will be there in Gemini. But Mercury is not under the beams of the sun. And so we get a host who is even more in control of the hand, if you like, and even better able to speak to the themes of the house wherever you have Gemini in your chart. So I get also these messages of like, love my enemies. And Mercury was known also as the common god. So we get again these themes, ideas of pedestrian prowess or power. And Mercury will start to square Saturn in Pisces as well. And from this, I get just, a lot of like trying to both feel and think about people, both reflect with and relate to people. So you get this water air square. And this is like, pour me a glass of your wine. Just pour me a glass of your wine. Like, tell me about you, your life, your world. And I also get such a little gem, like someone is such a little gem in your life. And Hermes can kind of be like that little gem collector through the different dimensions. And we get synchronicities here, angel numbers, we get signs from spirit, omens, again in that very pedestrian sense. So don't scoff the pedestrian or the mundane during Gemini season, and definitely not while Mercury is in Gemini. And of course, it is about that serendipity. We are, as I film right now, on the full moon in Sagittarius. Serendipity is the winner. And also like check and keep updating, that dream journal if you have a dream journal that, or just a general journal that you might have, or keep checking in with yourself and like how you're actually feeling, like assessing your days and your weeks and your months in that more journalistic mercurial way, which is usually writing, but also maybe you like to record voice memos, or I don't know, make a collage, take pictures, whatever. Try to, or in your notes app in your phone, like whatever the frig it is, like get more mercurial with how you're actually coursing through the days and the weeks, and reflect on that a bit. This is also reconciliation and companionship. And I also get this image of like two horses meeting and kind of racing ahead alongside each other for many people. So I'm getting this image. And also um like encapsulated essences. So kind of like what I was saying at the beginning, just say what you mean, or just say what you're thinking, say what you're feeling, but also say only what you need or only what is like necessary, because people don't give a fuck really about the rest. Just say what you mean. And also there's this thing that can kind of push you, or this person that can kind of push you, or they were pushing you, but you realize that it was just so that they could deliver something, or something could be delivered to you. Mercury is the divine messenger, and it's the divine trickster as well. So sometimes it can feel like you're being bullied or annoyed, but there is some message often translated. And also don't try to double back on people or things. I already talked about this before, I think, but like dead plants, don't try to double back on things that already didn't require you to keep trying to water them. Mm. And don't try to double back on people who already despise you, or if you already despise people. And I know despising, hatred, these are strong things, but these are also part of spiritual experience and life. You can't just brush them under the carpet, and definitely not with all this Gemini energy. There can be a lot that needs to still be said on how we may still feel about certain relationships or dynamics, and there's just not a lot of space for like doubling back and wasting your time. And sometimes harsh things need to be like said or heard to make sure someone, like, make sure he gets the picture, kind of thing. Like, and sometimes we need to hear that as well, like, so that we get the picture. Mercury squaring Saturn, making sure someone gets the picture, or we get the picture. And also the moon will be translating light straight from um, Pisces into Aries as it makes that sextile to Mercury. So we get a lot of that realization of and jumping into the fantasies and the projections, the images, and a lot of feistiness, a lot of fantastical feistiness on the horizon for a lot of people. And just this message of like, don't talk back either, unless you can handle it, unless you can hold yourself, hold your own. Don't talk back, and don't take those who talk back in those trifling ways. Now, let's also just talk about like the classical Hermes baby, shall we? The classical stuff that will come up in this Mercury Gemini transit. Obviously, look at your birth chart, because wherever you have Gemini, that will indicate these specific themes to you. So this is a very general reading, obviously, or video that I'm doing, but Mercury itself rules things like writings, and again, that can be like making literal recordings, or like records of your day, the courses you're going through. Lists are really good as well during this time. Poetry, rap, lyrics, ditties, shade as well. Cleverness, wittiness, all of these things are mercurial things. And so if you are someone who writes, for example, or sings, or especially like lyrically, or writes poetry, this is a great time to get more into it, or get back to it, or get like, what's the word? Get your mojo back. Or even to find a muse, because this is the season of the lovers, Gemini season, to find a partner in some creative, poetic sense. Speech as well is a very mercurial thing. literal speech, but also finally spiritually speaking on a topic or speaking for yourself or speaking up for yourself as well. The voice, of course, lots of Taurian energy this year. A lot, a lot, a lot. Jupiter just in Taurus. So of course, the voice, the throat, the singing, and yes, speech. Very big themes. And commerce and banking as well. That's very mercurial. And play. I mentioned that Mercury is the trickster god, so playing around, fooling around. Obviously, this is a big Gemini season, as always, a big like party type of season. But yeah, just getting more into the playful vibes, just having a bit more fun, living a little, as they say. That's very Gemini, by the way. Live a little. So trying to live so big, live a little, or still trying to be so serious. And messages and sending messages as well. This can again just be quite literal or mundane for people. Like you could just be much more active on your devices, on your channels, much busier, frankly, with the messages. And it can also be in the other senses, like spiritual messages, especially in dreams, or those synchronicities that I mentioned, and also fractions and calculations. So coming to quite divine, quite almost like epiphanies often for some people, kind of fractions calculations, sacred geometries that finally kind of mark you finally figuring something out in your life, in your spirituality, or in your path, finally figuring a couple things out, because Mercury deals with hacks, life hacks. So finally figuring a couple things out, that could be pretty cool for many people. And Mercury also deals with hearing, again in the literal senses, but also like, are you listening to yourself? Are you listening to yourself? Are you zooming out in that objective way and like getting the picture again? Or just kind of like trying to cruise a bit more, and get the vibe through that listening. Finally, also with Mercury, we get versatility, androgyny, and Mercury is kind of like the true peregrine baby. It was known often not as the malefic or the benefic. It could often be both. So really, there's a lot of trials and tricks and just some juicy things as well with Mercury. And it's all about kind of how you roll with it, how you humor it, and how you also use your kens and be savvy in however that might be for you, depending on where you have Gemini in the chart. But savviness and the kens, and yeah, just having a good old mercurial time. Mercury is coming to roost, right? So this is great, great, great for a lot of people. Let me know in the comments where you have Gemini in your birth chart, and let's talk a little bit about it, shall we? Have a great Saturn day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.